Studio microphone, 10 weirdest facts from European history. Unbelievable. Shocking. 100% true. Clapperboard introduction. Stranger than fiction. They say history is written by the victors. But what about the weirdos, the mad kings, the dancing mobs, the exploding beer tanks? This is the side of history they don't teach in school. Europe has seen empires rise and fall, kings crowned and dethroned, and revolutions that changed the world. But hidden in the cracks of all that glory and tragedy are the stories that defy explanation, bizarre, funny, terrifying, and sometimes just plain ridiculous. Get ready for a journey through the 10 weirdest events in European history. These aren't legends, they're real. Man Zombie 1. The Dead Pope Trial, when a corpse went to court. Year: 897 AD. Location: Rome. The Catholic Church was in chaos. Factions of power, corruption, and revenge were tearing it apart. Enter Pope Stephen VI, who had a personal grudge against his predecessor, Pope Formosus. But there was one problem: Formosus was dead. That didn't stop Stephen. He ordered Formosus' corpse dug up, dressed in papal robes, and placed on a throne in the court. A literal cadaver synod. With a trembling deacon forced to defend the corpse, Stephen accused him of corruption. Formosus was found guilty, had his sacred fingers chopped off, and his body thrown into the river Tiber. This wasn't just bizarre, it was a symptom of how unstable and theatrical medieval power could be. A court case against a rotting body remains one of the strangest legal moments in human history. Bear 2. Wojtek the Soldier Bear, WWII's furriest hero. In the heat of World War II, a group of Polish soldiers in Iran came across a group of locals selling a tiny bear cub. They took pity and adopted him. They named him Wojtek, and over time, he grew into a 6-foot, 500-pound brown bear. But Wojtek wasn't just a mascot, he became a fully enlisted soldier in the Polish army. He had a serial number, ate with the troops, loved beer and cigarettes, and most incredibly, he helped carry artillery shells during the brutal Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy. After the war, Wojtek lived out his days in a zoo in Scotland, visited regularly by his former comrades. Wojtek reminds us, history isn't just about humans. Sometimes, a bear can become a war hero. Dancer 3. The Dancing Plague of 1518 when the streets went mad. Strasbourg, France, 1518. A woman named Frau Trophy stepped into the street and began to dance. She didn't stop. Hours passed, then days, then others joined her. Dozens turned to hundreds. Men, women, even children. For over a month, the streets were filled with people dancing uncontrollably. No music, no joy, just compulsion. People collapsed. Some died of heart attacks or exhaustion. Doctors were baffled. Authorities thought more dancing might help, and built a stage with musicians. It only made it worse. Modern theories suggest mass hysteria, poisoned grain, or even religious trauma. But no one truly knows. This wasn't a party, it was a plague. Beer 4. The Great London Beer Flood, drowning in ale. October 17, 1814, London's Tottenham Court Road. A massive vat at Mew and Company's brewery exploded, releasing a chain reaction that burst open other vats. The result, over 320,000 gallons of beer surged through the streets. The beer flooded homes, destroyed walls, and filled basements. 8 people died, some were crushed, others drowned in beer. Locals reportedly tried to scoop it up in pots and pans. Some even tried drinking directly from the gutters. What started as a brewery malfunction ended as a dark, boozy disaster, and a strange reminder of how even too much beer can be deadly. Crown 5. The Glass King, Charles VI and his fragile delusion. In the late 1300s, King Charles VI of France began to suffer from terrifying mental breakdowns. One day he killed his own knights in a frenzy, thinking they were enemies. But what came later was even stranger. He believed he was made entirely of glass. He wore reinforced clothing and refused to let anyone touch him, fearing he would shatter. Servants tiptoed around him. He spent years isolated, wrapped in blankets, whispering fears of cracking apart. This condition, known as the glass delusion, affected several nobles during the Middle Ages. It sounds absurd today, but back then, it was a real mental illness, a metaphor for the fragility of power. Window 6. The Defenestrations of Prague, when politics got pushy. In 1618, tensions between Catholics and Protestants in Bohemia boiled over. Protestant nobles stormed Prague Castle, confronted 2 Catholic officials, and, with no long speeches or debates, simply threw them out the window. They fell 70 feet. Somehow, they survived. Catholics claimed angels saved them. Protestants said they landed in a giant manure pile. This wasn't even the first time it happened. Prague had already thrown officials out of windows in 1419. The act of defenestration literally became a tradition, the Czech version of political debate. Brain 7. Napoleon's missing manhood. After Napoleon Bonaparte died in 1821, his autopsy was conducted by a British doctor. That doctor allegedly cut off Napoleon's penis and smuggled it out of the room. For decades, the preserved organ passed through private collectors, including a priest, a museum, and eventually, a urologist in New Jersey. Yes, Napoleon's private part ended up in America, often described as a shrunk leather strip. It's now stored away, still in private hands. Why was it taken? Some say revenge. Some say curiosity. Whatever the reason, it's one of the strangest souvenirs in European history. Baby Angel 8. The Children's Crusade. The most tragic march in history. In 1212, a young boy named Stephen of Cloyes in France claimed he had been told by Jesus to lead a crusade, not of soldiers but of children. Thousands followed him. They believed the sea would part for them, and they would convert Muslims peacefully in the Holy Land. But the sea didn't part. Many died from disease, starvation, or were sold into slavery. Historians debate the full truth, but the records show ship captains really did sell many children into bondage. A heartbreaking tale of innocence, faith, and how adults used children as tools of propaganda. Cat 9. The Great Cat Massacre, when cats were the enemy. In 1730s Paris, printing apprentices were treated terribly by their masters, overworked, underfed, and ridiculed. They noticed their masters' cats lived better than they did. So, in one of the strangest labor protests in history, the workers held a mock trial for the cats, accusing them of witchcraft, then executed dozens of them in public. To them, it was symbolic rebellion, dark, creepy, and definitely weird. Gear 10. The Antikythera Mechanism, a computer older than Christ. In 1901, divers off the Greek island of Antikythera found what looked like a chunk of corroded bronze in a Roman shipwreck. But inside were gears, dials, and inscriptions. After decades of research, scientists realized it was a 2,000-year-old analog computer, used by the ancient Greeks to predict planetary movements and eclipses. Built in the 2nd century BC, the Antikythera mechanism is the most advanced technology ever found from the ancient world. Nothing like it appeared again for another 1,000 years. Who built it? How? Why did that knowledge vanish? Some say it's evidence of a lost civilization, or something even stranger. Mike conclusion. Truth is stranger than fiction. These stories sound made up. But they're all real. That's what makes history so thrilling. It's not just battles and treaties, it's bears in war, dead popes on trial, and kings who think they're glass. The weirdest parts of European history don't just entertain us. They remind us that humans, no matter how rich, powerful, or famous, are strange creatures. And sometimes, the things we laugh at or fear the most, are what survive in the books. So next time someone tells you history is boring, ask them if they've heard about the Pope who was tried after death, or the bear who fought Nazis.